Hey, I'm back from my hiatus after slicing my thumb. Stay towards the end of the video if you would like to hear some personal updates. I did not expect Kirby Air Ride to have a successor 22 years after its North American release in 2003 on the GameCube. I sadly did not play enough Kirby's Air Ride growing up to appreciate it, plus I treated the game mechanics like Mario Kart. Biggest mistake. Since I didn't play it enough, I heard from other kids on the playground that the city trial mode is what made the game the most iconic and replayable. Starting with a blank book as my base, we'll go through the nitty-gritty process of recreating the Kirby Air Riders trailer as a children's picture book. Here are my concept prototypes with some pop-up elements in mind. I have a pull tab for the disc to spin and the falling star as a V-fold. You'll see this concept again. I have another pull tab of a warp star and Kirby trying to catch it. Ooh, this is my favorite. I have a rotating disc with a sequence of Kirby endlessly chasing the warp star. Lastly, I have this aerial view of what I believe is the Fantasy Meadows landscape with all the colorful flowers and plants. This fold will give Kirby a lift as if he is gliding through the course. The problem with this accordion is that the artwork cannot be laid down flat, and if I try to do that, the art will rip right in the middle. My original video that I eventually scrapped was this unfinished accordion book with all the air ride machines with their stats and a description of their use. But I knew that I could improve my project. It did suck that I had to start all over again, but it'll be worth the detour. It's still pretty fun to look at and fun to play with as a fidget toy. Finally, we're starting the project. I divided these pages and used washi tape to secure them together so I know where to glue my paper. We're going to be here forever if I used every single page, and the book will be so thick that it will implode itself. Using an adhesive, I glued the pages down and used a paintbrush to spread the glue evenly. Then I tapped and pressed down on the pages to secure them. Brush, 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 pat, pat, pat. Now the project begins. The first page is the lone shining star at the start of the trailer. My star sketch looks like a compass. I am painting with Follow Blue, and just like that, look how fast I am in painting. Making sure my art degree work OT all day every day here. No PTO. I also coughed up the falling star, and I already finished cutting it out. Then I glue the star onto the page. I could use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. With my handy dandy X-Acto knife, we'll bust this star out of paper prison. It took me a good 15 minutes to cut this out. In this economy, I'm making the most out of my Arches watercolor paper. I painted more additional stars and sparkles, which will add more zest to the pages. I could definitely reuse these stars for later. No worries, I sit up straight while recording. Every little star and sparkle counts. I'm using every nook and cranny of these Arches paper because they're worth every penny. They improved my watercolor experience. The quality of your watercolor paper is just as important as your paint. Now I hunch my back over and carve out every single star with my X-Acto knife. Then I sprinkle the confetti onto my work mat. I take my sweet time just gluing all of these stars. It's actually more soothing than it is stressful, trust me. In between pages, or if I'm feeling tired, it's important for me to take a break so I can have fresh eyes and come back and edit my work. We'll worry about details later. I just need to set up the foundation so I could come back and add more toppings. Now I got my basics down because I will be adding more later on. It's time to start another page. I cut out a large 12 by 12 textured cardstock paper down to the sizes of these pages. I don't want the black paper to stick out and be uneven with the rest of the book. I lined up the black paper to the spine and glued them down. Next, I'm sketching a couple of warp stars in different positions. In the painting stage, the colors will appear more dull and muted, so I'll be using purple as my base. Mixing yellow and purple will neutralize, resulting in a muddy yellowish gray as if the warp star have a faint spark. After I'm done painting and watching the paint to dry, let's cut out every star and leave no negative space behind. It takes a ton of work to cut out all these pieces. Look at my little potato chips. I love feeling the texture of the paper and getting to hold my little paintings. It's why I love physical media and I strongly prefer it over digital art. Digital art is definitely another learning curve and a whole different beast to take on. At the end of the day, it's an apples and oranges comparison. After I finally made up my mind, I organized my potato chips to recreate the chase scene and then I glued them down. I want to make sure that all pieces flow from one another and both pages are readable. Moving on to the next page, this is when the trailer surprised us with If you know, you know moment. Using scrap sketchbook paper, I sketch Kirby riding on the warp star, and it will be my blueprint as I translate the drawing onto my Arches watercolor paper. As soon as I saw that engine, I was in denial. Who knew? I can't believe there will be another Kirby's Air Ride. I actually thought it was a new Smash Brothers because usually the trailers start with some sort of tension to initiate a fighting sequence, you know? I got my hopes a little high on this one. Oh my god, I made a mistake. Oh my gosh, I kept on painting and I'm making it worse. I need to go back to the drawing board. So I used a blue Prismacolor pencil to sketch my drawing and painted it over with a yellow base. As you can see, the blue sketch really stands out. I love the look of a messy sketch, but it's not a look I'm looking for. It's too messy. Kirby's color palette consists of warm colors of reds and pinks. I mean, what else unless I mention his other variants? So sketching lightly with a red color pencil or a coal erase pencil will blend together with a yellow base. Plus, I will have an easier time erasing those marks and minimizing smudges from the graphite. That's more like it, yeah! I changed Kirby's pose to make it feel like the warp star just caught him from falling. I'm so glad I hardly see any red pencil sketches and they blended so nicely with the warm pinks. Don't let the jump cuts deceive you. This painting took me a good 45 minutes. I have to wait in between layers to dry completely so colors won't spill and leave a dry, darker patch on specific spots. I had to be more thoughtful with my paint strokes and my color mixing. And voila! It's night and day like Kirby's Air Ride and Mario Kart, degree or no degree, job experience or degree, yin and yang. Trying to think of any other opposites here, but look at that big improvement. I'm very happy and it was worth having to go back and edit my work. Basically, I accepted that it's okay to start all over again. It will be worth it. Moving on to pages 7 and 8. Oh my, already? Yes, really. I am testing where I can place my right angle V-fold onto the page and how it opens and closes. Anything sticking out will be trimmed down. I painted the gigantic plants and shrubbery that you see in the background. Using my leftover folds that didn't make it to the cut, I sketched out 4 Kirbys riding their own air ride machines. These V-folds were not cut in a certain way that I wanted, but they are the perfect size for these compact paintings. If one painting is wet, I bounce between the other 3 paintings so they can all look consistent, and it's a huge time saver. I slapped all 4 paintings with a yellow base once again, and I gave each one of them their adorable blue eyes. Gotta add those pink rosy cheeks too. Part of watercolor or painting in general is always trusting the process and going through the ugly phases of your work before the final glow up. Another aspect of watercolor is having an accidental spill or bleeding. This is a wet on wet technique, but sometimes it's not always intentional. In the wise words of Bob Ross, we don't make mistakes, just happy accidents. Admittedly, I try not to panic while I paint. Look at my orange spilling into my yellow Kirby here. Going off topic, due to my busy IRL schedule, my full-time job, and adult priorities, it took a few days to finish these little paintings. I have a 2-hour time limit in my video making process, and there are days that I can't just sit down and film. I still love making videos, and I am not giving up on this channel. I really love what I make, and I believe it with all of my heart. I'm so grateful, and for those who made it this far in the video, thank you so much. No, seriously, thank you. It makes me want to keep going and make more videos. And for a quick question, do you prefer hot press paper where the surface is smooth or cold press paper where you get the toothy texture? Comment down below and tell me what you think. Enough of me yapping, I got the goods, it's time to glue them down. Let me arrange the babies and make sure both pages are balanced. Now the composition is set in stone, I glued my paintings. I used scrap paper to pat down the art since I want to keep my hands clean. This job requires clean hands. No need to put on gloves. Next time, I have to be more careful with how much glue I use. If I don't clean up at aisle 5, the pages will stick together and that will be a problem. I left those glue puddles behind and I gotta cover them up. Adding onto the landscape, I painted these flower beds as we see in the distance in the trailer. I used Winsor & Newton masking fluid so I can freely paint over them while keeping areas of the paper white as it is. These white spots are seen as the flowers in these clusters. Using color pencils over a watercolor painting definitely adds more dimension and makes the drawing more stylized. I love combining these two mediums together. These flowers look like fried eggs. That's a whole lot of dead Dinah chicks if you know what I'm saying. This is proof that I am a speedrunner. I draw and paint grass as much as I touch them. I glue the rest of the flower beds that I painted earlier. I drew some more flowers and petals with color pencils to show more visual variety for the meadow. I want this landscape to look dreamy and beautiful to look at. I usually shut off the camera and just cut away unless you want to watch me cut for the next 2 hours or so. When I went to Blick's, they had packs of assorted paper on sale for cheap, so I snagged them and hoarded them for a few years. Now it's time to make use of them. I found these soft patterns, but why was it so difficult to cut out these petals? I was struggling and immediately I got humbled. Luckily, these yellow sheets were not too bad to cut. Here I am cutting corners to make the petals look more round. An hour later, all the vegetables are chopped and minced. I'll be saving these scraps for later. Now I'm throwing them all into this big pot, let it cook and simmer for the flavors to get to know each other. We have achieved harmony! The book can't close all the way due to the amount of paper packed into this project. It's thick. I definitely want to add more zest to the sky, and this will require me to throw in more texture. So I use my assorted paper and shape them into little clouds. If only I could throw these clouds into the book and close it for them to stick. Oh, look at that! See? These clouds definitely scream Kirby's epic yarn. That'll be a future video for sure. There's a lot of potential behind that video. They really add more eye candy to this page. I need to add more sprinkles to the cake, so we are using any remaining Arches paper to paint some more. I really diluted Pyro Scarlet paint and gave me this beautiful pink hue. No need to add white paint on this one unless I want the pink to be really tinted. I'm using my tweezers once again because my stubby sausage fingers will make me want to rage quit if I have to glue everything by hand. Art was never relaxing, but adding petals to the scene was the most soothing. It was my favorite process of making this book. I'm just glad I don't have to cut any more petals at this point. Thanks to my poor planning, I thought I could wing it by slapping blue construction paper and cranking out a somewhat decent cover. Here, let me glue more paper on top and nobody will know, right? Crisis averted. Sort of. Note to self, don't be so impatient. My pink Posca marker covered up the exposed edges from my poor wrapping. Yeah, I know this method is pretty sloppy. My logo is not entirely original, but it's a homage to the GameCube's Kirby's Air Ride. I used tracing paper and basically guessed how large I needed to draw it. I sketched Kirby riding on the Warp Star, and within a second or so, I cut his eyeball out. I was supposed to cut the bottom half of his eye. On the second thought, I changed the pose on my new sketch because the first one looked like his feet blended with the Warp Star. Looking at the artwork of these covers, they both tell me that I'm already playing a real game. Tracing's done, time to clean it up, and hear me out. When I saw that logo of the trailer, I was like, that's it? Why is Kirby getting the Helvetica treatment? This is so ugly, honestly. I know the logo has to match with the modern minimalism of the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, but I was hoping this was not the finalized version. Even the modern Kirby games like Star Allies and Forgotten Land are consistent with the bubbly, starry aesthetic of the series. At this time of the editing, the trailer was released about 6 months ago, and seeing the official logo on the game case basically screams minimalism can be boring. No, actually, it's boring. Boring! I rambled for a bit, so I'll get back to gluing. Same routine, pat pat pat. We use scratch paper, or in this case tracing paper, to secure our, well, paper. I'll be using Prismacolor Pencils to draw the aerodynamics of the Warp Star. Oh my god. Okay, I think we're actually done with this project. After so much trial and error, having to start all over twice, and trying to keep up with a work-to-life balance, we finally have a story. Gather around, my children. It's time for a story. Sorry, it's not animated. It's not my genre exactly. Let us begin my yapping session. I was inspired by the Japanese cover of Kirby's Air Ride, so the cover is minimal and keeps the energetic look. If we look closer, I see little pools of glue drool, so next time, my applications need to be cleaner and more delicate. For how I drew Kirby, I wanted to have a lineless, colorful render for a more stylized look. Using color pencils was a decision I made at the halfway point of this book, so I'll definitely use them again for future projects. Flipping this around, it looks like the hot dog is sticking on the bun. I can't slick it back into the book with glue or trim it with scissors, which will make the structure unstable. So I have to baby this book to not bump into anything. Again, I have to measure twice next time before cutting. When do you think I'll get this right? I'll make sure I'll get it right. Finally opening the first page, a little shooting star from the distance suddenly sparks into a really big shining star. The spine of the book already ripped in the middle, so I covered it with paper. He saw nothing. I really exaggerated the star by enlarging it, and it looked like a crystal snowflake. It adds more drama compared to the actual trailer. What I love about this page is how everything flows from one scene to another, and the pencil textures definitely make both pages look flashy. These color pencil textures are basically the sprinkles of this cake. It's everything! Let's continue our story. A tiny pink ball was trying to catch and rekindle the lifeless star. Will this hero with star eyes capture the falling star? I know that was a bit corny. After smacking the warp star multiple times, it has finally awakened and Kirby is now taking off. Here's another page that I absolutely adore. This is where I wanted to add a simple pop-up. While I was gluing this page, I was nodding so much like, this is what I'm talking about. Know my power. That was a horrible Mennonite impression, but anyway. I saved all of my leftover cutouts from the previous pages for this particular scene, plus might as well use them. I'm really glad that the spiral kept its shape, and the best part is that I can seamlessly open or close this page without a struggle. Oh my Philorma town from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Kirby escaped the darkness and traveled to what is believed to be Fantasy Meadows. I could be wrong. I created a parallel zigzag fold to create the backdrop. This is a page where the backdrop sticks out like a sore thumb, so I had to be much more delicate as mentioned. I love this page so much. It's so colorful with a variety of flowers, and it has the most diverse paper textures. There's so much to look at, and it's such an eye candy all around. After 22 years, Kirby is gliding with his clones once again. No, I didn't forget King Dedede or Meta Knight. The book can't handle the thickness. It's too much. I was hoping the cloud texture would seal the tear, but that didn't work. I have to either sew together a new book, or if I used a blank existing book like this one, I have to consider paper weight limits. Besides the flower petals, my favorite part of these pages are the cloud textures. Touching them already feels good, but the clouds don't look as flat as I thought they would. The one thing I wish I could add to this page is add more pop-up elements like the petals jumping out, because the last 3 scenes were pop-ups. Overall, this page is simply beautiful. I mean, I love seeing all the 4 Kirbys with their proper air ride machines and gliding away with the petals flying through the sky. It sounds romantic if you think about it. Lastly, I want to say I'm sorry for not posting a video for the past few months. After my hand injury, I slowed down a lot. I also got caught up with my IRL responsibilities, but YouTube was always in my mind, and it's something I want to keep on pursuing. I really believe in this channel, and I want to keep doing what I love to do. I really miss making videos, and I want to continue growing my little art channel. I just had to change my workflow and work more on my efficiency and time management. I'm not a big fan of using the word adulting, but it's necessary for this case in particular. Well, story time is over. Take care everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!